So if you like old school and you like Pro Street, this is definitely the video for you.
Get ready! Extreme automotive addiction! Yeah!
So what we have here is a 1939 Chevrolet business coupe, and it is much different than it was when it actually rolled off the assembly line in 1939. Let's take a walk around the car and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, let's start at the front of this car. It's got a Mustang 2 front end, and under the hood, get in a little bit closer there so you guys can see, that is a 455 Oldsmobile. Behind that, we have a turbo 400 transmission, a Ford 9-inch, and as you might be able to tell, yeah, it has been tubbed just a little bit. The axle has been cut to be able to accommodate the 29 by 18.5 tires that are underneath this beast. And man, what a look. Look at the back end of that car. And then we'll just kind of get down here a little bit lower so you can see. Look at those meats. There's just something about a tub car that is absolutely beautiful. All right, let's start at the front. We'll kind of take a little walk around, take it all in. I really love the color of this car. It really, I don't know, it works on this vehicle. It's very similar to an Impala that I had, if you guys remember a 60 Impala, very similar. And you know, the paint quality is probably about similar too. I would suspect that this car is probably at least a 20-year-old build, and I'll tell you why. So number one, the paint quality is not great. It's kind of, I mean, it looks good from a distance, but like when I rub my hand across it, it's very rough, and you can see there's a lot of orange peel to it. I suspect that maybe it had some clear at one point in time, and it's kind of faded over the years. Let's take a look inside and I'll show you some other things. Going inside, the interior is very nice, very clean. Seats I really like a lot. There's a couple little small spots on the seats. Oh, just kind of age, that type of thing. But what really gives this away are those gauges. Gold gauges really haven't been the in thing to do for at least 20 years, maybe more. And not that people still don't do them, but yeah, it's just not my thing. If you look up on top, the headliner is a little bit different. But overall, the interior is very clean. It's got a tilt column. You see over there a low car shifter. Okay, after me agonizing and trying to decide what cars I need to get rid of and downsizing and everything like that, why go out and buy another vehicle? Well, because it's me. I mean, if you guys don't know me by now, it's me. I have an extreme automotive addiction. And it just so happened that I was looking, as I always do, I've talked about this before, I was looking and I found this car on Craigslist. And one thing it had going for it is that it was relatively close. It was in Tracy, California, which is about an hour from me. So that's always a bonus for me. The number two thing that it had going for it is that it was a 1939, and I didn't have anything in here from the 30s. Yeah, quirky, weird, I know, but I wanted something from the 30s, and that fit the bill. And then also, with it being tubbed and being like the Pro Street look, I really, really liked that a lot. Now, you guys might remember that I had a 68 Chevelle, and it was pretty pumped up, really expensive build. And I loved that car. It was so cool to be able to walk into the shop and see that car and know that it was mine and be able to take it out and play with it. But number one, it had way too much horsepower for the street. It was really kind of unrealistic to drive. It was unrealistic to drive it anywhere. And number two, I knew that if anything broke on it, it was going to be really expensive. Much more expensive than, say, this thing. Now, I mentioned that this has a 455 Olds. And if you know those motors, horsepower rating was 350, 360 in that area, but those motors made a lot of torque, right around 450 pound-feet of torque, which even by today's standards is pretty impressive. And I don't believe this motor is pumped up at all. It looks like it's got an aftermarket manifold, carburetor, but it's just exhaust manifolds. It's actually a very mild sounding vehicle. You'll note that when I start it up. So I don't think it's pumped up at all. It might have a mild cam to it, but that's okay. It makes great torque, outstanding torque, and I really like the fact that it's drivable. It's not something I have to worry about breaking down. It's got basically freeway gears in the rear end, so I could take this down the freeway and cruise along and go places and go to Cars and Coffees and car shows and things like that and not really worry about it. Whereas the Chevelle, I was a little bit more on the fence about that one. So it looks the part, it sounds good, it runs good, it drives good, but it's not radical, and I kind of like that. So inside the trunk is pretty much no frills, a little carpet, battery tray. There's an extra molding for the rear window, and that's what I'm going to be using to hold up the trunk lid because this thing's heavy. Now's the time I'm going to fire it up for you guys. Like I said, this thing is not radical. Actually, when the seller started up for me, I was like, man, this thing's really kind of quiet. It surprised me because it looks like it should be kind of radical and louder and everything like that. And I looked down, it's like, it's got like maybe 2 1/4, 2.5 inch exhaust. Like I said, it's the stock exhaust manifolds. So it's not really aggressive sound. It's got a nice rumble to it, but it's definitely not what it appears to be. Well, you'll see when I start it. So yeah, pretty mellow, pretty stock sounding. Like I said, I might hear a small cam in there, but I don't think the motor's been built up at all, but that's okay. I kind of like that. I'm kind of good with that. Let's take it for a drive. So one thing that was kind of nice about this car is it really didn't need anything. I mean, there's lots of stuff I could do to it, but really when I got it, Paul, the seller, told me it's going to need some timing, which Eddie got in, played with the timing, the vacuum advance. He got that sorted out in about 10 minutes. And part of that was running back over to the workshop to pick up some of his tools. And it seems to run really, really good. I put a little bit of 91 in it because it was pinging before, and then a little bit of octane booster. And now it seems to be running really, really good. I mentioned that these motors are incredibly torquey. So the first time I drove it, kind of play around with it, getting to know the car a little bit. I got into it, and this thing broke the rear end loose all the way through first and pretty much halfway through second, which I was impressed. So next time I was driving it right there in front of my house, I was doing about 20. I nailed into it, and it started spinning first gear all the way through second until I caught third. I look in the rearview mirror, I see all the black smoke, and then the downer. I realize that there's just one black strip behind me. Yeah, it's a one-legger. So I'm a little disappointed in that. I'm not gonna fix that. I could put a locker in it and fix that, but it's okay. You know, that's the thing. When I buy a car, I usually have big plans for it, and then I think about it for a little while and I decide, you know what, I really don't need to do all this stuff to it, and I kind of back off. I'm starting out more realistic with this car. Right now the speedometer doesn't work. I want to get that working. Want to maybe check the alignment, suspension. At about 50-60 miles an hour, it feels a little like it sways a little bit, and that could just be because it's tubs, smaller tires in the front. If I remember correctly, I seem to remember the Pro Street doing that, the Pro Street Chevelle. So not horribly concerned about that, but I do want to have it checked out, just make sure everything's good. But you know, I mean, I could get crazy with this thing, and I could start painting it, I could clean up the interior, do more to it. I'm not going to do that. I just want to drive and enjoy it. It's got the look I want. It's just a really cool car, and it's really nice to drive. I mean, I don't really know how fast we're going, but probably about 50, and it's just humming along very, very nicely. You get into it, it goes. But I do feel a shake. Right there, I did feel a little bit of a shake there, so not sure what that's about, but I do want to have it checked out. Probably a front end alignment, hopefully a front end alignment. But yeah. Let's see here. See what I mean? Just spins that tire. And I can smell the rubber. I mean, I guess even though it's a one-legger, I mean, that one tire that's spinning is like 18 inches wide, so You know, that's wider than a lot of two-tire vehicles. Am I saying that right? That's a lot. That's more width than sometimes two tires. So I really can't complain. It would probably still light them up pretty decent if it was a posi. But like I said, I'm not gonna worry about it. This car is just cool. Couple little things, and then that's it. I'm good, I'm done, I'm happy. I think it's pretty cool, actually. So quick story, when I went to look at this vehicle, like I said, it was in Tracy, and as I'm driving into the neighborhood, I'm thinking, you know, it looks kind of familiar. And I drive by the house, I see this sitting out front, and I walk up, and of course this guy's name's Paul, as I said before. I think I said that, but he has some other toys in his garage. Nice setup, very nice setup, very nice stuff. But as we're talking, I mentioned about the 68 Pro Street Chevelle. I said, yeah, you know, guy I bought it from, his name's John. He lives somewhere around here. And they're like, oh yeah, John. Yeah, we know John. So I guess they're all good friends. And then it occurred to me when John took me out for a test ride in the Chevelle, he actually stopped in front of this guy's house and we did a burnout. So yeah, they all kind of know one another. We all know one another, and that's kind of cool. Paul also had a 65 Ford Falcon, and I posted some pictures of it on Instagram. Really, really cool looking vehicle. 351 Windsor, 671 blower, C6 transmission, caged, fully tubbed. I mean, beautiful stance, beautiful build. I love that car, and he uncovered it, and I was like, wow, you know. And of course he tells me, well, it's for sale too if you want to buy it. Of course it was more money, and I really did debate it back and forth. And you know, I would have probably went a little bit more than I paid for this vehicle, but we were just a little too far apart. And in all honesty, this is more suitable to me. I don't need to get back into another Pro Street that's going to have problems and issues. This should be a fairly reliable, nice driver, and like I said, something I can take to Cars and Coffees and shows and things like that and enjoy and be very happy with. So it was tempting. I didn't do it. I didn't pull the trigger. I think that's about it. I think I'm going to go ahead and end the video right here. Let me know what you guys think about this vehicle. Cool, not cool, thumbs up, thumbs down. I would really like to know. If you liked the video, definitely give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, give me a thumbs down. No big deal there. As always, I welcome your comments, and I try to respond to each and every comment. So definitely leave me a comment below. I appreciate that. Also, if you haven't already, subscribed to the channel. As I've been saying, in 2021, I want to get this channel up to 10,000 subscribers. That is my goal, and I would appreciate your help. As always, God bless. Take care. Guys, have an absolutely amazing day.